Hello, today we're going to be talking about The Last Jedi, and this is the issues that I had with The Last Jedi as a big Star Wars fan, um, and somebody who actually forgave a lot of what's been going on, like especially like even the prequels. I'll forgive the prequels because they're Star Wars. I won't watch them a lot, but I'll forgive them. But the Last Jedi, there were definitely some issues that have to be pointed out, and I'm sure other people will notice them, especially fans of the old series, and maybe some younger fans too. And there's definitely some spoilers in this video, so if you haven't seen The Last Jedi, I definitely recommend you go see it. I'm not saying that it's not a good movie, it is, but there's some big issues with it that need to be pointed out. So I'm not gonna rank these. I'm not gonna number them. I'm just gonna kind of get off my chest the issues I have. And for the first one, I'm just gonna say the character of Luke Skywalker. And again, spoilers. Go watch the movie. Um, in the movie, Luke Skywalker, there's a point where they show how Kylo Ren turned on him and killed everybody, or killed everybody in his academy, and they actually show that Luke snuck into like Kylo's hut and read his mind and saw that it was already overtaken by Snoke, and he was destined for evil basically. So he lights up his lightsaber and he acts like he's going to attack him. But then he doesn't. He turns it off. But it's too late. Kylo Ren has already turned around and seen that Luke was about to try and kill him. And that's when he loses it and attacks everybody and kills all the other students at the academy. And then he gets the Knights of Ren, and which have not shown up since they were briefly mentioned in the Force Awakens. He gets the Knights of Ren, and he goes out to join the First Order. So that is completely against what Luke Skywalker would do, and it's ridiculous. It was insulting, and I can see why Luke Skywalker had issues in the beginning with what Rian Johnson was doing to the Luke Skywalker character, because that made no sense. Like, this is a guy who looked for the good in Darth Vader. Darth Vader had already been known as this murderer. He not only was he responsible for guarding the Death Star, but he also, and being like the Emperor's number 2 guy, but he also, like, he killed so many people. He was responsible for so many deaths and torture and everything. But still, Luke was willing to just look past it. I mean, he killed Ben Kenobi right in front of Luke. But still, Luke was willing to look past it and forgive him and look for the light. But then you have Kylo Ren, who hasn't done anything bad at this point. He hasn't done anything bad. He just may have been taken over by Snoke, which they don't show any of. So there's no backstory there. There's no, maybe he had done something bad, but they didn't show it. And he's gonna think about killing the guy, like his nephew, the son of his best friend and his sister. He's gonna light up his lightsaber and think about killing the guy in his sleep. That made no sense. It was the most ridiculous thing and the most insulting thing I've seen to the Luke Skywalker character ever. And it was very frustrating to see because it made no sense. It was badly written. It was not true to a character that we've all seen, not only in 3 movies, but the books and the games and everything else. Like, it just made no sense, and it was a bad decision. They could have found another way. Like, Luke could have very easily just been guilty about, not being a good trainer. That very easily could have been his tipping point where he turned against, the Force and, said goodbye to the Force. but that wasn't it. Instead, it was this, and it made no sense. It was after Kylo became bad that Luke, became cynical about the Force and being a Jedi. That is what was established in The Force Awakens, and then Rian Johnson just threw it away. And that was not good. The other things were, like the whole side story with Finn and Rose, completely pointless. It went nowhere. And it made no sense. It was forced. It was just ridiculous that, the first thing Finn did when he woke up was try to get on an escape pod and leave. And, even if it was to get Rey away from, the battle that was happening, it's still, like, Finn is done. His story's done. There was nothing there. And it was frustrating to see because, they could have done more. And overall, that whole idea that, the main plot was just this very slow speed chase where they were chasing the cruiser. It wasn't very exciting. You got the whole idea of the light speed. Like, that was a great scene where she took the ship and hit hyperspace and went into the other ship and blew it up. And that was a great scene. But it doesn't make sense because if it was that easy, why wouldn't all ships do that? When they're under attack, why wouldn't all ships just, everybody in the escape pods, one guy volunteers and hits the Star Destroyer or whatever else is coming to attack them with hyperspace? Like, if it was that easy to do. So, I mean, that was a great scene, but not enough depth to it. Leia was handled well, although the whole Mary Poppins thing was silly. The CGI on that was bad. Like, she didn't even move that whole time she was using the Force to get back to the ship. She had no movement to her. It just looked like a stick figure, or not a stick figure, but a painting, like Mary Poppins did in Mary Poppins. So that was a little silly, but it was nice to see her using the Force and things like that. Poe's character, that whole thing, like, one, he was way too quick to go to mutiny, but the other thing was I can't remember her name, but the general who took over for Leia, she could have explained what she was doing. Like, they were objecting to just doing nothing. They were objecting to just, keep going forward until they run out of gas. They made that clear that they had issues with that. She could have stopped them at any time by explaining her plan. She could have stopped a potential mutiny by explaining her plan. She could have got, the very noisy Poe on her side, to help her lead through this, difficult time by telling him the truth. It made no sense whatsoever to keep that from everybody. And it was really frustrating that she did that. The part where Finn was flying into the battering ram cannon, which is a stupid name, but when he was flying into it to sacrifice himself and Rose, saved him from it, like, he was trying to stop. He was trying to do something really important. He was trying to stop the door from being broken down. And then after she does her little speech, they're sitting there making out. Well, behind them, the door is being broken down by this laser that Finn could have destroyed, and it was ridiculous. Like she could have destroyed the entire rebellion with that one move, and it didn't make a lot of sense. As far as Luke's Force projection, I thought that was cool. They kind of gave it away a few times if you pay attention to it. And I've only seen the movie once, but I thought there were some obvious tells. Like, one, the lightsaber he was using his blue one, which Rey has, and then so it didn't make sense that he had it, and then you have like the salt. You could see when he's circling around. Like he actually made a point when Kylo was moving around his feet. He was kicking up some of the salt, and you could see like they showed Luke watch that happen, and then right after it, like I actually for a minute thought that Luke would kick some of the salt into Kylo's face as part of one of his, as part of a finishing move kind of thing. But what actually ended up happening is if you're paying attention to Luke's feet, he doesn't disturb any of the salt when he's moving around. So for that, like I thought, okay, they're obviously, foretelling that it's like a hologram or something. But eventually, it became a force projection. But I don't know why that would kill him. That's the thing is, Luke Skywalker's death was pretty anticlimactic. It was a great scene. Like the whole scene where everybody's shooting at him and he's just standing there with the lightsaber, just like he said wouldn't work in the beginning, and just bringing new hope to everybody. And they show at the end the kids telling the story of how it happened. That was cool. I would have liked it more if he had used the Force to like take something down, whether it was like an AT-AT or like one of the ships or something, or even the ship after Kylo got off. If Luke had just went like, and the ship, crashed, just to show his power, that would have been a really cool moment. But in the end, it was a cool moment. It's just the death. It was underwhelming, and hopefully he shows back up as like a Force ghost like Yoda did. But it was a little underwhelming as far as the death scene goes. And especially when they showed that ship, the sunken X-Wing, and nothing ever came of that. That was a little disappointing too. Overall though, it was good. It was a very good movie. It's just there was these holes that, especially things that J.J. Abrams had already set up. Like he had set up Luke to be feeling guilty about Kylo turning to the dark side. But then Rian Johnson came along and kind of shifted that story. And things like that. It's just, and the whole thing with Snoke, that's the other thing, is they turned him into nothing. Like, for him to be so easily killed, where he couldn't even see what was happening. Like the Emperor in Return of the Jedi. The Emperor sat there and he was fine with Luke attacking him with the lightsaber because he knew that Darth Vader would stop it. And then when Darth Vader eventually turned on the Emperor, that was in the heat of the moment. Like you have to be paying attention to be able to stop that and see what was happening with the Force. But Snoke, in this situation, he was reading Kylo's mind at the time when Kylo was turning on him. And he didn't see it happening, so that was a little silly. And then now, he's gone. And they built him up in the first movie as this big bad guy, and then he was just killed so easily. So that is really frustrating. And, overall, it's just the whole thing with Rey trying to turn Kylo, which is, the same as we've seen in Return of the Jedi with Luke trying to change Darth Vader over to the light side and things like that. So that was a bit familiar. The Millennium Falcon coming out of the sky to save them at the end there, that was familiar. Another thing is the vernacular they use throughout the movie. Like, it's all modern. There's no fluffy nerf herder or scruffy nerf herder or things like that, or talks about the Kessel Run, or it doesn't, the language doesn't make it feel like it's another world or another galaxy. It makes it feel like it's ours. So, in the other Star Wars movies, there was language that just made you think, like, okay, this is a totally different place. Like, they even use the word religion, which I would have to go back and watch the original trilogy, but I'm sure, I don't think they ever referred to Jedi as a religion in the other movies. So, but to use the word religion, it really felt out of place. And there was humor that felt really out of place, like Rey when Luke told her to reach out with the Force, and she reaches out with her hand. She's already known the Force. She's already used the Force. She knows how it works, and for her to reach out with her hand and do that whole "oh, I feel something," like, it was funny, but when you think about it afterwards, it's dumb. So there were moments like that. The dice, they never explain it. Apparently, it's part of the lore. I don't remember ever seeing any conversations about dice in any of the other movies, but suddenly they're a big deal. And what's the point of giving her something that's gonna disappear later, anyways? That didn't make a lot of sense either. Because it's like, it's not really a gift if it's just gonna disappear. Like, what's the point of giving it to her to hold for an hour? And especially, like, if it was that important, why'd she drop it in the first place to leave at the base? But there were definitely some cool moments. The Luke facing off against everybody basically. The hyperspeed thing. The battle in the beginning too. That whole exchange where Poe was trolling them to waste time for it was silly. And it felt really out of place. There were quite a few things that felt really out of place as far as the Star Wars universe. And like, the direction was good, the acting was good, the characters were great, the action was great, the cinematography was great, the scenes, the set design. But overall, like, it needed better writing. It needed more consistent writing with the rest of the chapters. And honestly, I'm not looking forward at all to another trilogy done by Rian Johnson, because if he's gonna go and do this kind of thing with another trilogy, I'm not interested, and it won't be something I'll be excited to see for sure. And one other thing though is, I'm not sure why they couldn't get Lando. I heard rumors and things that he doesn't fit the role anymore, that kind of thing. Like, he doesn't have the acting chops to be a Lando anymore, Billy D. Williams. But, like, I saw a commercial not too long ago with him in it, and he was pretty funny. And he not only was he funny, but he seemed like an older version of Lando. Like, they actually were talking about him as Lando in that. And overall, like, I don't see why he couldn't have been at that casino that they were at, or at least been mentioned. Like, they never even mentioned him once. And he was friends with Han Solo a long time before Luke and Leia met him. So, why hasn't he been mentioned since Han Solo has died? Or that kind of thing. It's just, they need to just do a better job of being true to the lore, being true to the characters, filling in these plot holes, being a little less silly. And I know these movies are for kids now. They want to get the new, they want to get kids excited about the new generation of Star Wars characters. But, a lot of the money they're making is built on the nostalgia too. And they need to show more respect for that. And I hope in the next film, actually, you know what? I know in the next film, J.J. Abrams will do a better job of that. And I'm looking forward to that. But I'm definitely not looking forward to whatever Rian Johnson does next. So that's everything. Those are my complaints. Like I said, it's a good movie. I like it. I do. I'll buy it on Blu-ray. I'll watch it a ton of times. I'll keep watching it back to forth. I'll watch like all five in a row. I'll even throw in Rogue Squadron, and I'll watch them all six in a row. And that'll be a hell of a marathon. But and I'll like this movie. There are definitely some great moments, and I'll like this movie, but it could have been better. And that's the part that gets you, is when you see the mistakes they're making and you wonder why they didn't see the mistakes they made and why they couldn't have done just a little bit better, just a little bit better writing, have some better script supervisors or somebody who could point out these issues and maybe have more control over what Rian Johnson did. That would have been better. So we'll see what they do with the next one, but I'm looking forward to it. And like I said, this is a good movie, just has issues. I need to get those off my chest because I've been a fan for such a long time that those things just stick with you when you watch this movie. They stick with you for a while, and it's not like they ruined my childhood or anything like that. It's like they could have brought me back to my childhood, and they didn't. They fell short. That's what it is. So overall, good movie, definitely worth watching. Has issues. They should have been fixed. They didn't have to happen, but we'll see what happens with the new one in 2 years, and I'm looking forward to it. So overall, I hope other people enjoy it, and maybe some people probably have the same issues that I did, maybe other issues that I didn't point out, but overall, it is a good movie. Definitely go see it. Issues. So thank you for watching. If you like this video, like, share, subscribe, or all the above. Thank you, and have a nice day.